We're here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca today with Hooked on Driving, and we have a very special car to talk about. We'll do just a brief overview. The Mustang GT starts out life as a really good car, but it does have some limitations when you think about more high-performance driving and driving on the track. So the Roush performance guys have taken the Mustang GT and really gone through it, including almost all of the suspension components, all of the braking components, and they've taken the standard 4.6 liter 3-valve V8 and put the Roush Charger on it, bringing it up to about 435 horsepower, 405 pound-feet of torque. I've driven this car. I got to be honest with you, I think they're being conservative. This thing will pull stumps and absolutely set you back in the seat the minute you're on the gas. The special thing about this version of the 427R supercharged Trak Mustang is it's the Trak Pack version, which has a bunch of adjustable parts that allow you to kind of set the car up for the street, normal daily use, but you can kind of do a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde conversion on Friday night in the garage, and we'll show you in a few minutes some of the features that can be changed to actually take the car out to the track and really have this thing handling great. Just a real summary, it's got adjustable shocks with coilover adjustments so you can actually corner weight and lower the car with a simple wrench. It's got a short shift kit. It's got the supercharged intercooled V8. It has adjustable shock absorbers from a rebound standpoint. You can just dial the rebound on these shocks. The brakes are 6-piston front calipers. This is a serious racing caliper with slotted rotors and slotted rotors in the back. One thing that I think is very cool is Roush sells you the car with stock brake pads. You just drive it home, you can run it to Safeway, but if you go to the track, you can look in the trunk, and the car is delivered with Hawk HPC brake pads that are just almost race pads to put in the car to prepare yourself for the track. Let's go ahead and open the hood and take a look at this hot rod and see what kind of things we can do to make it go even faster. So, now this is a standard 427R with a few extra surprises. There's your supercharger. This thing adds a ton of horsepower, and it is very, very quick. The adjustability of this car is what's amazing. We have adjustable rebound. You get a little Allen wrench with this car. And guess what? You can go around in about 5 minutes, set the stiffness of the shocks by turning this adjustability control on the top of the shock to make it a stiffer shock. That is very cool, I think. But the real benchmark feature of this car is that it has camber plates. Now, that's a term you may not have heard of unless you're a racer or a real autocrosser type of guy. Most of the time to put camber plates into a street car like this, you have to cut the shock tower and weld plates in. The idea of camber plates is to get the front end of the car to tip in, so your tires are tipping in at a negative degree to allow it to bite better, it will turn better, and not have the severe understeer that most street cars have. So they've hidden, Roush Performance has figured out a way to hide camber plates without cutting on this car. They're installed up underneath the shock tower, and all it takes to adjust is a 1/2-inch socket. You loosen these nuts right here, these 4 nuts, and lift the car, take the weight off of this corner of the car with a little hand jack, and this post of the top of the shock tower will slide back and forth. So on Friday night or even Saturday morning at the track, if you want to get this thing dialed to really turn, slide the shock tower all the way in, and you've got full negative camber, which is about 3 degrees, which is a lot. It's not quite as much as a race car, but it's a lot, and you will definitely feel it on the track. At the end of the day, you loosen these up, lift it up, slide this back, and you're back to a street setting. It's pretty amazing, very, very cool stuff. So those are the kinds of things that you can do with this car. We also have the adjustable coilover shocks that I talked about. You use an Allen wrench to loosen a collar that is around the shock absorber, and once the collar is loose, You then rotate the collar and move the spring up and down on the shock on this car that will change the elevation, lower it or raise it. And a real expert with performance alignment can really dial this car. You could drop it a whole inch. You might even be able to dial it for a counterclockwise versus a clockwise track. So these are the kinds of things that are very unique. I've never seen these, never seen these kinds of features on a manufactured car that you can buy and drive off a showroom floor. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the serious engineering back here at the backside that makes a big difference in terms of the flexibility and performance of this car. First of all, it does have an Eaton Trak limited slip diff as a standard feature. It's a very expensive part, and it's in as a part of this package. And you know what? I got a true confession, and that is I'm not crazy about wings, because most wings are just toys and kind of things to show off and make the car look cool. Guess what? This is a fully functional carbon fiber racing wing that you kind of got to learn how to use if you're going to run this track pack on the track. It will make a difference in the performance. What's really slick, I pre-loosened a couple of these nuts, and to move the pitch on this wing, you can move it almost 15 degrees up or down to make a big difference in terms of whether this car is providing stick in the rear or freeing up the front to bite better. So you're going to learn about aero packages if you own a track pack and you're going to carry a wrench like this. So you can see just 2 or 3 little tools that you carry with you can make a big difference in terms of how this car handles out on the track, and then certainly you can return it back to street settings for the drive home. We're heading out, the Roush Track Pack 427 out onto Laguna. We're using the motorcycle lane today. Got a Hooked on Driving event going here. It's a gorgeous day, about 65 degrees, no wind, ideal conditions. Let's try out the track pack, and they're being nice, letting me have the windows up. We would normally be running with the windows down at a track day. And we're going to get the tires warmed up a little bit here. I've driven this car a couple times. I think I know what to expect. For someone who is a traditional sports car driver getting in the Mustang on the track specifically, it's going to be an adjustment because the Mustang's much bigger than most sports cars. It's tall and it's got a long nose. And that's really just a matter of adjustment. The first session, there's different reference points, different visual references looking out the hood. But once you're through that, then you realize that the car is actually a big car that handles very well. And we're coming up into the corkscrew, 3rd gear, kind of a mid-apex here, and soft hands. The sensations I'm feeling are excellent grip. These are good, strong performance street radials that come stock on the car. They're 18, I believe it's 275 by 40, 275 40 by 18 tires. There's the Stop Text binding down at turn 11. Very nice, very nice. Occasionally you do a double check with a set of pads like this, rotors like this. You do a little left-hand touch just to be sure that the pads are seated on the rotor. We slow the pace down, maybe talk a little bit more about the features on the car. Power of steering feels just about right. It's pretty consistent. Enough but not too much boost. You got a good feel of what's going on in the front. And we've got 3 degrees dialed into this car. And I got to tell you something, that for a street car, this car is turning very, very well. I can even feel it in the bolster of the seat as I feed the steering in on one of these mid-apex turns on the inside of this course. It's very crisp is how I would describe the turn-in, which is unusual for a big sedan. And we're going to go ahead and make a pass. Always make a wave. Set up for turn 6. And okay, and Brakes feel good. Again, I'm doing a little bit of a double pump. Sometimes be sure the pad is set on the rotor. But when you've done that, man, you have really good, solid, firm brakes, which is more than most street car brakes can say. Weight transfer is a piece of cake. There is a predominance of the weight on this car on the front, but I think this is why Roush worked with the 4.6 instead of the 5.4 liter motor, because it's a much lighter motor over the nose, and it really allows a nicer balance and a very manageable weight transfer. You can put it up on its nose and kind of pitch the tail around very nicely. There we go. Double pump. That was about 115. And I'm going to try a double apex here at turn 2. The Andretti hairpin, rotate it in. Just carry third gear through there. It feels really good. Tap and turn at turn 3. Again, there's some body roll, certainly, but it's manageable. And one thing I pointed out earlier was that really almost no components of the suspension of this car are stock Ford. And to their credit, you go under this car, and Roush Performance has completely re-engineered the suspension. It is a huge front sway bar, adjustable rear sway bar, stiffer bushings, the whole package. It actually advised me to run without the traction control system, and that seems to be working real well. We're getting a very nice bite on the rear end. So we've got a little traffic here, and that's what's cool about a track day is we're not in a race. We're enjoying the car. There have been a few moments here where we push the car, a few times when we just kind of work our way through traffic. And man, I'm telling you, this is a blast. And they win a prize with the sound this car makes.